Okay, I think I'm going the right direction. It should be across the bridge. And answer to my previous question of whether every Dutch city has canals, I think the answer is yes, because truth be told, despite all the museums and all the places, when you visit a historical city or town, usually the most significant attraction is just to walk around the city and see most of the buildings. So, if I'm not mistaken, this route should take me to the central station. And what I was talking earlier about the train is that I had originally hoped to get some great vistas filmed from the train on my way here, and originally even on my way from Amsterdam to Rotterdam. I mean, although by then I didn't have the gimbal ready or the mic or anything, but essentially force. The Dutch apparently really like their silence, to the point they literally print on the screens of the train, "Silence, please." So it's impossible to actually say or record anything. The train is, in fact, in complete silence most of the time. And the second point is that it's really hard to film because the glass windows, look, new. The glass windows aren't glassed. Right? Because the train windows aren't regularly cleaned, so when you're inside the train, it's sometimes hard to get a great picture. Of course, you can see what's around, but from there to taking a picture, the picture is probably going to look a bit dirty with some artifacts. And lastly, like I mentioned, I'm enjoying the best of Dutch climate, which means a lot of rain. And how this translates into taking pictures is that since the train is fast, it rains on the train. The rain droplets get strange squeeze throughout the glass window, and as a result, it's also very hard to get clean images of the outside. I intend to visit the museum Zandschanze, it's the name in Amsterdam, or perhaps even in Rotterdam yet. But I've had no abundance of time. In fact, I've had shortage of time. But here is a small snippet, a small example of it. And also, yeah, seizing this opportunity, we're talking about the train and the Dutch people really liking their silence. So, one consideration about the people in the Netherlands, I don't know if this is specific about the Dutch, because interestingly, for example, I've met a lot of Muslim and or Arabic people here. I never know what's sidewalk and what's a bike lane. I've met people, for example, from Syria, from Palestine. The guy who sat beside me on the plane on the way from Rome to Schiphol was from Syria, and the cab driver I took earlier today was from Palestine, and then the Uber driver later shift when I was going from Corpus Experience to Borges Museum was also from Syria. So I absolutely never thought I would get to practice my Arabic here in the Netherlands, but so it is. I even got to try to say the numbers of the code from Uber in Arabic to my driver. And this last one had been here for 10 years. So I don't know if it's exactly a Dutch thing or a thing from the Netherlands as a whole and all people who live here who have immigrated. But the Dutch are not very talkative. So, what I mean by this is try not to be offended. I guess it's just a way. For example, when I take a train or a subway or a bus and like all the pairs of seats, there are no free pairs of seats. so you are forced to sit beside someone, I always try to ask permission to the person that's already sitting there. Like, excuse me, sir, may I sit beside you? And it's not like they're going to say no. It's not like they can say no. Albeit if they do, I think I would consider not sitting there. But I always try to ask it out of politeness. And in the same way, usually when I leave, I say, excuse me, have a nice trip. Good evening, for example. I always try just to be polite. Dutch don't see it this way. I came here on the train and a lot of people sat beside me and then got up and left and more people sat beside me and pretty much no one wishes you a good evening or good afternoon or anything. People don't really acknowledge your presence that much unless you are actually talking to them. But as a generally, that's what I said. Be prepared. Try not to be offended because I think ultimately it's just the way. I would guess they most likely believe in some sort of efficiency culture, meaning don't talk unnecessarily. And I think we're on the right path because I am pretty sure that is the central station. And like I said, looks like night, 5:30 p.m. And now I have like a 45-minute train trip back to Rotterdam. Let me get my umbrella right here. People are intrigued when I see the recording. Because on one side, this is Europe, so it is a touristic place. It's not like there have never been YouTubers or people reporting it here. But on the other side, I never work in closing economics. On the other side, I still haven't met anyone on the street doing the same as me. So it's not that common. It must be at least slightly weird for people to see someone reporting on the street. Yes, that's the center train station. We can see the train. The yellow one stopped there. Another thing about trains, which I will not be able to talk in the train because they don't speak there, is that there is a first class and a second class, and they're essentially the same. They cost really similar values. It's like for taking a trip from here to Rotterdam, it's an hour, 1 hour ticket. It's like 15 euros for the second class or 80 euros for the first class. Not much of a difference. And when you actually go inside the train, you really have to look at the numbers that are painted on the inside and the outside because otherwise you would have a hard time telling it just by looking at it. Of course, the the seats on the first class are slightly higher, larger, so they're like three side by side instead of four side by side. But it's not really like they're much more comfortable or luxurious. It's pretty much the same thing. So, once again, I can't speak their language. I don't know what is written everywhere, and I have no idea if I'm going to the correct place. Let me stop for a small while and guess if the way I get up there is by going through this door. Okay, so there are other people talking here. So I guess for this specific trip, the silence required on their trains is not being taken that serious. So I will use this opportunity. So this is what a Dutch train looks at rush hour. So why wouldn't I take the time to record this in the middle of the crowd train staging? Well, because I'm not doing anything. So that's how an hour it is inside here. And since there are people talking around with the microphone, then apparently when you speak really lowly, the audio will get captured. So one of the first things that surprised me about trains in the Netherlands is that, and I'm recording closer to my let me disable this, otherwise it's going to get captured. Is because one of the first things that surprised me is that the trains here behave a lot more like metro stations, for example, than an airport. For example, there's no security, there's no X-rays machine, you don't have to show anyone documents. So that really adds to the convenience of it. As the second point that makes it way more like a tube and underground a metro is the fact that you don't have assigned seats. So just convenience you to whatever. And currently, now this is the third point I have just discovered is that yes, you are allowed to travel standing at your train. And this is exactly what's happening here. So it is lots of people enter the train. I even thought about recording to this station, but I thought it'd be hard to stand amidst the crowd and enter while recording. But so it's absolutely official. You can travel from one city to another while standing in the car. So, end of the day, I'm back at my hotel. Just once, I came by subway. Much easier than walking an hour, and today was a bit late. And besides, there's also something I've just noticed. I forgot to have lunch. This is very unexpected. I did consider having lunch at the Corpus Museum Experience, Corpus Experience, for example, in Leiden. There was a cafeteria there, but at first I just thought about having lunch after leaving the Doelen venue where we're having the VR conference. But they took a long time to find my overcoat they had lost. They gave me the wrong number, then they couldn't find it afterwards, and so they took a really long time, and I was feeling like I was already late. So I was like, okay, let's go to Leiden first. I can have lunch there. I don't want to miss going to any of the attractions. So here, Art Hotel Rotterdam. And then when I went to Leiden, actually, I was like, okay, better go first. Oh, wind is really pushing it. I was like, okay, let's go first then to the Corpus Experience, and then afterwards I can have lunch. And then there was a cafeteria at the place. And I was like, should I have lunch? And I was like, I'm already really late for the Borghaven Museum. And indeed there was very much almost missed it. And so afterwards I just took the train and kind of forgot to have lunch today. I have time to was really busy going from the conference hall in the Doelen to Leiden, and then back and then to the Corpus, and then to the Verhaven, and then back here. And so I think I'm going straight to dinner now. It's already like 6:40, so I think I skipped that part. And let's end the video going into the hotel and into the restaurant. Like I said, the wind was really strong. Like Jesus, isn't it? Let me just They even got a Christmas trees in here. Precisely because I wanted to have a look, and it's one of the few original buildings that survived the German bombing. Why not? To pay like half, I would pay like for 220 apartments